When we ask them, they say, rise up. When we ask them, they say, don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold. When we ask them, they say, rise up. When we ask them, they say, don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold.
And who else should we sing for, but for the elders who have raised us into the light? Calling us into courage, we stand fierce on the shoulders of their struggles. They, the nurturers, creators, healers. They feed us with words and dishes crafted from love. Recipes never written, yet bountiful, full of earth and heat and grit. Passed on so our hearts stay here, feasting. Who else should we sing for, but for the ones whose memories are the compass in the pits of our stomach? For the ancestors who, when we are lost, call us home.
D. Woods, Mother Earth, walking families through herbal properties. We are reading from her library, a harvest of knowledge for future folk to remember, to forage through for the rest of time. Dee walks on her grandmother's hands, lets her memories and history shine from her root to the tips of her green fingers, a golden sheen to the present day. Dee speaks a survival guide for Granville Kitchen, black, brown and working class folks, London-wide, breathing nature into the crevices of high-rises. She dishes out wisdoms from ancestors who've dug deep for centuries. Dee Woods, Mother Earth.
Don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold. When we ask them, they say, rise up. When we ask them, they say, don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold.
We sing for the ones who carved homes within stranded communities in wind-rush chills, sending a jolt through a community far too comfortable in its misogynoir. Ostracized to make the tea, you walk away from those whose eyes watered from the strength of your light. We sing for Gerlin Bean and the Brixton Black Women's Choir. Jocelyn Wolfe, Claudette Williams, Gail Lewis, for Olive Morris, Dorothea Smart, Diane Abbott. For those whose names we do not know yet to speak, we sing for you. You crashed open an expanse so the femme struggle would be recognized. You spoke into the void when no one wanted to hear, and now your words are the blueprint from which we build, from which we sing, from which we teach.
Sarah Wanja, you are my grandmother, a beautiful reflection of all we could be. Resisting, resilient, whole, a bridge from the ancestors to the now. She taught us, she grew me. Florence Mudhoni, you are my auntie, a force, a fire, burning with unapologetic love, holding us accountable and leading as an example of how to hold and heal through others. She taught us, she grew me. Anne Wambui, you are my mother, a source of infinite and unconditional compassion, a sea of depth shrouded in humility and shady jokes, feeding me chapati, sukuma wiki, and a daily dose of radical honesty. Leading, transforming, holding, guiding, she taught us, she grew me. And to all of our mothers, for the ways they love and forgive, gentle in difficult storms and fierce when waters run still, deep and dark. Transforming and carrying what it means to be fully human in a world that peels and tears our intrinsic divinity. They taught us, they grew me.
Rise up. When we ask them, they say, don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold. When we ask them, they say, rise up. When we ask them, they say, don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold.
Because their words give us power to hold time, space, and earth in all our grace. Their voices remind us to rise as they hum melodies of our roots, lulling us back into sweet golden revelations of love. We know when to sing bountiful chords filled with the strangest of fruits, rising up like the growth of our hair, moving steadily, bringing magic and repair. For her, for them, for us, we listen as they answer our prayers.
When we ask them, they say, rise up. When we ask them, they say, don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold. When we ask them, they say, rise up. Rise up, rise when we ask them, they say, don't stop. Don't stop. When we ask them, they say, take your time. You are gold.
History and change have to start somewhere.
We're at the Stephen Lawrence Centre in Lewisham, a place that brings hope out of injustice and where a group of young people have come to lay a foundation for that change.
Stephen Lawrence was a black teenager who was a victim of a racist murder. This building was created in his memory as a place for inspiring young people who want to break the cycle of negative stereotypes. This week, the Stephen Lawrence Centre is home to Shake, a project in which young people will learn to use art to challenge injustice.
Censorship.
My name's Jane Trowell and I work with Platform, and we're an organisation that brings together artists and campaigners and activists and researchers. And we had the idea that it would be very interesting to collaborate with Stephen Lawrence Centre and to create a summer school with them here at the centre in Deptford.
The news. Yeah. Whose news is it?
So it's a rolling experiment in talking about difficult issues, politics, race, power, through the arts.
Shake brought together young people from a range of backgrounds and interests.
There's so many changes that I'd like to see, but I think one kind of really big one is just apathy. Once we start being proactive, that's when, change begins to happen.
I would like to see a positive change in the government, a government that really listens to the people.
The centre is home to an artwork dedicated to the memory of political activist Ken Saro-Wiwa from the Niger Delta. Ben from Platform told the group about Ken's story.
What he was campaigning for was environmental justice. He saw that oil companies had been in the region, in the Niger Delta, for 40 years, and yet local people lived in poverty. Oil companies had been spilling oil in the farmland, in the creeks, in the water and rivers of the Niger Delta. And so, under Ken's leadership, we saw some of the largest protests that the world has ever seen against an oil company. Shell worked together with the Nigerian military government in repressing the Ogoni campaign and protests. They hanged Ken for campaigning for environmental justice, all in the name of Shell.
Hearing the stories of Ken and Stephen Lawrence shocked us and inspired us to learn how to bring about change.
And the overall feeling from the group was like a feeling of sickness, that so much was going on, yet there was so much silence. The phrase that came to me was, silence is deafening.
Essentially, one of the obstacles that stop people from taking on these mass companies is
So power of knowledge can actually empower you and makes you know. Like when you know things, you actually feel differently.
He spoke up, and even though it was very negative, but they didn't give up. He spoke up, and that's why still today we're now here doing this workshop. So we know about it. So there is a positive and there is a value of speaking up. Shake involved artists from the spoken word, DJing and filmmaking.
Take your time, don't you run before walking.
My name is Zena Edwards. I'm a writer, performer, but I've been making my living as a spoken word artist, performance poet, workshop facilitator.
So my name is Simon Murray. I'm also known as Simurai, and I tend to concentrate on the disciplines of graphic design and writing.
Wilberforce. Do not upset the sponsors. No, it's not hypocritical. Feel free to speak freely, just make sure it's not political.
People know me as the Eric Soul, the DJ, but my birth name is Karengera Kirenga Eric. DJ artwork is my discipline, is my trade, and I've been working that for more than 20 years. I've been traveling all over the world with it.
Most young people are interested in art, so it can be used as a way to connect with each other, and it's a language young people can understand.
Art is like interpretation, so it can bring out so many reactions, and it's easier to comprehend because it's like visual, or you can hear it or see it, touch it, so you get to use your other senses. But apart from just trying to understand it, you actually interpret it, make it part of you.
At the start of day 2, the participants were separated into the 3 art form groups to work on their creative responses to the issues.
You don't want to be left alone. From the addictiveness of laying between the sheets with your corporate girl. Every day she makes you think that you can own the whole world.
What we're hoping to achieve this week is letting the young people be aware of their voices. We're talking about quite huge issues. So we're hoping that all the information that they learn, say through the case of Ken Saro-Wiwa and Stephen Lawrence, that we're using those as like templates through which they can get an understanding about speaking politically or using art as a tool for activism.
The blues and the greys. It seems like an eternity before I look back at the white paper.
I've been a part of the writing and performance group. So we've been really creating poems from just our thoughts and the information that we've been kind of receiving throughout the week.
There's been a history of certain individuals and certain artists who have used the music as a platform to voice concerns about society, about human being, in a very creative way.
And how to adapt the pitch. Once you know that, you're on your way to charge £2,000 for an hour. the things that we do on the video.
We've been learning how to mix and blend music together and starting and stopping at points.
Selection, I'm the selector and you back-to-back DJs. You know what you're changing?
We've been looping the music to make a part of a music repeat itself.
The film group were also busy in our workshops, almost too busy to film ourselves.
Well, I've been working with the film crew, which has been quite interesting.
By the end of the project, the Shakers had found their voice.
My voice shakes because I'm afraid of the possibilities. I'm afraid that if I speak too loud, you might just hear what I'm saying. My voice, the microphone connected to that hollow speaker box, in that hollow room, that hollowness within my head and my heart. And it will be loud. The bass will flow through your veins, your brain, to the ends of your fingers, the smallest hair follicle.
Power comes in numbers. Tremble becomes a tremor. London Underground beneath your feet. Possibilities. Sounds get louder, shakes the ground. Picturesque becomes obscene. Tremors shudder. The earth cracks from the strain.
Who am I? Do I know my own mind? This part of me feels hollow, like there's nothing inside.
Black, 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 the only colour seen. Black as the far reaches of the colossal universe. Blackness that envelops the land. Suffocating, gasping, still, dead. The woman and child tread past the pipelines, a track that leads them to a destination of hopelessness. Unable to change direction, they suffer for nothing. Suffering for those who claim to be people, but are barbarians that feast on the pain of others, and feed their hungry spawns. Yet all these Ogoni people crave is the tender caress of their sacred motherland.
Making love between the sheets with your corporate girl, you start to believe you can own the world. Possibilities of wealth are endless. Every night, baby, I love you. But nevertheless, car, she don't care, whatever. She's a vessel hollow, and it don't get no better. Can't be ever filled, ever. Longing for her, can't wait to tomorrow.
So the beggar on the street can do nothing, nothing but pray the man in the mansion is happy, although it destroys him first. For him, the ink stopped flowing. The heart is just about beating.
I'm on a climbing frame, climbing quickly, but still trying to hold on to my childhood. Remembering Universal Studios and Nickelodeon when it used to be good. Remembering Keenan and Kel and Sister Sister. But the higher I climb, the less I remember.
So when I walk into that utopia, I am no longer afraid. I know that God is forever walking beside me, holding my hand in the lands of which I don't yet understand, but will understand, strengthening the armour surrounding me.
Our souls are the same. We're interconnected just like a tree. Each branch varies in width, shape, and colour, but they derive from the same roots and return, belonging to that tree that provides protection, balances the air, and beautifies everything. The problem is universal.
I just got one question. Miss Capitalist, why are you so evil? How can you sleep at night when you even snake your own people? She's got no loyalty. Better fix up. Look at yourself, honestly. Freedom from expectation starts with you and me.
Flower buds emerging like snowdrops after the rain. Green fists of defiance. Standing shaken, rooted firm. Voices shaking. Hear us now. We come with war wounds. Casting those shackles behind, shaking, not from fear, but from pride.
Let's put it like this, I've cried twice. That's because it's been so moving, and I think it's because it's young voices that it's been quite so moving.
It's been really good. Each day has been filled with knowledge and exciting activities and stuff.
The actual conversations that have happened outside, maybe at lunchtime or maybe on the way here with young people, and just seeing how enthused they are about the process and how willing they are to create change themselves and eager.
I wasn't expecting to have a group of students that came in such a high numbers, was so committed, so engaged, so perceptive, so open-minded.
What's really exciting is that you're prepared to use skills to actually create some kind of change. It's for a purpose. It's not just for making money. It's for actually, I want to raise awareness about this. You're learning for a purpose, and I think that's what's really exciting about this project, is the way you're engaging with big issues and not fearful, and with no fear.
I hope to do something with the knowledge that I've got, do something with everything that's in my head. There's a lot in there, I don't actually know what to do with it. But hopefully I'll go to university with my new way of thinking, my new way of going about life, and hopefully in the future I'll bring about some sort of change with a group of people that feel the same way I do.
There were 37,000 knife offences in England and Wales in 2017, and there's been a 21% increase in the last 12 months. Gun crime has increased to 6,500 in the past 12 months. Stabbings in London are at their highest level in 6 years, with a 23% rise from the previous year. There has been 12,980 knife crimes. Will the stabbings stop by just taking the knives away? How do we plan on surviving this state?
What changes have I seen in the past few years? A lot of new developments. I've also seen places being knocked down. A lot of people being moved out of their homes, but for something else to be there. So there's been a lot of governmental control in the area.
People who used to live here seem to be haven't sort of benefited from all the changes.
Brooklyn has a history. I mean, you've got the Huguenot, you've got the Jewish community, you've got the Pakistani community, you have the Turkish communities who have come here and started their business, they developed and moved on. And we're seeing the same trend with the Bangladeshi community. As some of the businesses are closing, they're not closing because that they want to move on, but it's the economy. I mean, the rent and rates have gone up extortionately. So this is one of the things that is actually diverting them away from here.
I live in southeast London, so in Peckham. Most of my time in London has been in East London, and I moved to Peckham maybe 5 years ago. East London, for example, where our studio has been here for over 10 years, And it concerns me, they've made these huge apartment blocks which are very overpriced flats for very rich people. When you get permission from the council to be able to build on these flats, some of them have to be for council tenants. And so the ones, I think it's called Aldgate 1, and that one, for example, has pour doors at the back. So the people who are council tenants have to use the pour doors. This is what's happening to London. You know, this is what's becoming. There's a huge divide between rich and poor.
And this area is a classic example where, you know, there are big council, what used to be council estates here, but now a lot of them are privately owned because people had the right to buy them 20 or 30 years ago. And they're now, a lot of them, in the hands of private landlords who don't live here but rent them at astronomical rates, and so it's a lot of people being dislocated. You know, a lot of people be having to move to areas they don't know because they can't afford to buy.
All the youth provisions that were put in place have been taken away, and now the youngsters have nowhere to go and nowhere to seek good advice from, no role models. And where my area right now is like become a big sort of monopoly of real estate.
Jojo Nsanka, 19. Kumari Sarankuma Barnes, 15. David Ajibita, 19. Abdi Fattah Shike, 19. Karim Sams, 16. Abdulhahi Tarabi, 19. Jordan Wright, 19.
So gentrification in the area I live in is having a big impact on everyone, especially young people, because it's happening at a pace where no one really knows it's happening, and no one knows the consequences of it happening. So there is so many new construction projects, new flats are getting built, new houses are getting built. Now there's new houses, new flats, there's a new influx of people, and this new influx of people, they're gonna need a place to stay. And because there is this label of people of color being violent and drug dealers and whatnot, they won't, this new influx of people, they won't want to be neighbors and they won't want to integrate with a community like ours. So gentrification is having a massive impact because it's very biased towards a particular set of people.
I mean, it's not just in this area, it's right across the country, across the world.
In East London in general, there's a lot of gentrification. I think it's a horrible thing. It just takes away, like, the areas are a lot less raw.
It does have to be taken into account as well that the artists who are now being moved out in their own way, or I have to say in our own way, we were like a first wave of gentrification as well, and that can't be avoided. Like, you get people around like Hackney Wick now who are like, oh, the community's being moved out, but it's these artist communities that kind of are the first ones that get lured into an area while the rent is still cheap, and then that raises the value of the area, and then once it's raised to a certain point, then they get moved out as well. But to be fair, there was communities that were being moved out of these neighbourhoods first anyways.
Grandmother that you never knew, who came here on a boat with the old world nestled between her shoulder blades and a baby in her arms, single-handedly split language in half like Moses did the sea, only for broken words to try to swallow her whole. It's like 150 generations of crooked noses and splitting blood made exile their home, and built a holy land out of unforgiving loneliness that followed them from place to place.
Mohammed Hassan, 17. Elijah Dormali, 17. Joa Ricardo Gomes, 18. Abdiraham Mohammed, 17. Osman Sharif, 16. Mahad Ali, 18. Joshua Bualia, 16. Subhan Khan, 18. Daniel Manga, 19. Jermaine Gopal, 15.
One thing that we lack in London, which is recreational space for young people. When young people have things to do, they have recreational areas or facilities available, they are going to be away from antisocial behavior.
Spaces where young people could go, accompanied as a group, come, like playing sports together, meeting, having like a mutual spaces where everybody could come. I think those spaces have either been sold off to developers or they just don't exist anymore.
There isn't a place where young people can go where they can make friends or they can meet new people. So I think when they have this stereotype of what area they're from and what they've grown up seeing, they sometimes just continue that cycle. So unless someone or people stand up and make a difference, then it will just continue, I think.
It's affected me because I'm seeing every day the consequences. I look at the young people in my community and I see that they have been blinded by this street corner indoctrination they've been put through, where they have to fit that stereotype or they won't feel cool in society. And there was a time where there was provisions put in place where even myself would go and speak to someone about these sort of problems and there would be changes. Now there isn't, and now the young people, they have no voice. They have no youth provisions, there is no recreational centres, there's no role models for them. Everything's been taken away. And in replace we have new built houses and neighbourhood patrol and CCTV.
Abdul Mayanja, 19. Corey Junior Davis, 14. Saif Abdul Majid, 18. Aren Mali, 17. Michael Jonas, 17. Kasim Mukrane, 18. Jason Isaac, 18.
Youth clubs help a lot because they can go in there and it prevents them from getting into gangs and doing stuff that they probably shouldn't be doing outside, like drugs and fights and stuff. Yeah.
I needed someone to talk to and somewhere to go where I wouldn't feel judged. And we had these youth centres, we had fantastic youth workers who, like myself, went through these sort of problems. And it differentiated from school because in school I couldn't talk to my teachers about these sort of things that I was going through, whereas youth workers, they know about these sort of things and they have the solutions. They come up with ways that I can tackle this. We need to be heard. And we need to be heard as a community, not individually. Because the same things that are happening in my area is happening everywhere, all across London. And migrant families and people of colour are being targeted and are being profiled and forced away from their homes and constantly looked down upon. And we need to change that. And I think the biggest change I look forward to seeing and I hope to see is youth centres and, a chance for young people to have a platform where they can where they can speak of all the problems that's going on.
I think young Hackney does quite a bit for this as well because you're in a secure place, you're not loitering about, you're not messing about, less likely to be in stupidness. And I think sports helps with this as well because those that are playing football in teams, they're not out and about, they've got something, they feel a purpose now. That focus on sports, so like boxing, football, basketball, it gives them something to put all their energy into.
There's lots of evidence that shows that where there's youth provision, proper youth provision, not just kind of, ordinary stuff, it does make a big difference if people are doing the right kind of work with young people.
We don't really have enough space. I think more green space, for me, more green space, more open space, more growing food space. I think spaces that community run would that's what I would bring.
I think I'd like to see more opportunities for the youth and maybe more second chances for them.
Look at the history of this city. The churning of bodies has been routine here. This city is our everything and nothing at the same time. Here lie the culture makers, a culture birthed, a culture policed, a culture reinvented. This city has its own warped cycle of life, rigged with potholes, a city that bears the fruits of the rotten empire but feed none to its people, where children become experts of trickle-down economics as they watch wealth dance out of their centres and into offshore accounts, gawping at how the shards of glass reflect the homeless and how the homeless reflect us as a people, as we stutter with our rude sorries and screwed faces, where apartments are built tall to be condescending, to remind us that the sky is not the limit, it's the absence of rent caps that are.
Doing something, then maybe you guys would be financially successful instead of coming out here and making a load of noise.
Let's ask ourselves, who are the people leading us? Is it, us people here, or is it the white privileged elite who go to Egypt and go to Oxford and, who are so disconnected from reality that they have no idea what's going on?
So I took that piece of footage in August, a few weeks ago, when I went on the Command the Impossible course, which was a summer school about politics and activism and all that kind of stuff with dominant ideologies and kind of just learning about systems and raising awareness. And since then, we've kind of, some friends of mine who are on that course as well have been kind of consciously seeking out courses that are going to kind of enhance our awareness and knowledge on all these kind of different issues. And that's why we're going to Shake, which is a lot more kind of creative. We're going to be able to use more different mediums and able to kind of create that awareness.
So Shake is a space where we engage in conversation. This particular course has been a 5-day course where we've had invited guests to come and speak from their experience of headspace, of well-being and of education, and then we've opened it out to the young people who've come as participants to Skillshare to talk about these issues and to have conversations, to have dialogues, and then create artworks.
So I've noticed that a lot of young people, including myself, have become a lot more interested in finding a lot more alternative education. I think I prefer to learn through experience and through getting that knowledge in more of an informal setting, kind of being quite constricted to what we're learning when we're going to school. And we want to take that conversation to the streets and make a little film about it and get a lot of other opinions from people around.
Education is more of a medium to better yourself, as in broaden your understanding, broaden your knowledge, and literally grow as a person.
I think when people talk about education, they think books and school and being there 8 in the morning and leaving at 4 and GCSEs and stuff. And it's not really just that. Like, education is learning life skills.
But in terms of like teacher experience, in terms of like the homework or the assignments, whatever, yeah, it's never really matched up with what happens when you get out into the real world.
Believe me, I tried to find work after I got dumped for my apprenticeship with GCSEs.
Is it possible?
You can't do it.
Scrap
you can't.
that, please.
And I've got a load of work experience.
There needs to be a discussion around how we can make our curriculum more inclusive, more importantly how we can encourage our young people to be going forward. And I think the key thing here as well is that our education system is created for individuals to kind of get qualifications to get jobs.
And that's useful in some ways, but I think it could also be a bit more about how more creative stuff and teaching you how to be more creative.
I think there should be more emphasis on vocational training and work experience, work placements, and should really be assessed on how they work in a real life environment as opposed to essays.
Make it more relevant to life itself.
Scrap GCSEs. Scrap them. Get rid of them. They are so pointless.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
Basically, it should just be fun. It should just be. You should really have the feeling of waking up in the morning and just go do something fun, something that you really like, regardless of what it is. If you like math, just go to the funnest math school you could ever imagine. If you like making blocks, just go to the best and the funnest school that you could possibly get to. But make it easy for people to get there.
So why are we challenging?
Well, if you feel frustrated or angry or concerned or upset about things that's happening in your world, here's a space for you to respond to it. I really hope the young people leave with a new vision of themselves, how they see themselves, that they can feel validated, valuable, part of the whole story of world history, that it's a fair, balanced representation of world history, not just one version of a dominant, privileged culture. For me, it's that they feel they have more of a vision, a higher vision of themselves when they leave.
They're so human that barely breathes in my lungs, Don't wanna have to go and pick up the phone, got loads of friends, but somehow I felt alone.
See, they changed me to a guy I didn't wanna be. They opened up my eyes to a life I didn't wanna see.
It's easy like finishing this verse, but my words are getting learnt by people who want a better life. Well, I'm telling you, I'm sat here trying to better mine.
I've done a lot of work in schools over the years, and I know there are some amazing teachers out there who are surviving in a really hostile climate that doesn't want these kind of critical issues, especially around race and decolonisation and environmental racism. They don't. It's not that the schools don't want it, it's that the curriculum that they're required to deliver is getting closed down. So it's getting all to be about jobs and the market. So even if there are teachers of goodwill and schools of goodwill, it's very hard for them to do this work. And I think, we're going to have to do what has happened throughout history, which is you have to make your own educational systems, and we could call this one of them. It's one of many ways in which we supplement official formal education is with the education that we want to see happen.
Shake is like a safe environment, which I don't really have a safe environment in college really, and it's like it's a nice place to like engage with like-minded people that have similar experiences and similar mindset to me.
Shake was a different experience because it was finally a space to express yourself politically, creatively as well, and it kind of gave us like almost like a language to actually channel our political views, something that we don't have in school.
In our school, we're not really encouraged to express our political beliefs at all, and to come to a place where you're encouraged and to kind of think about it and to evolve and stuff, I think was amazing.
It's really different from school, college in the sense that the way you learn is completely different. There's a lot to take on, like you would have to in school and college, but it's not expected of you to know it. You don't have no exam to do at the end of the week where you have to fill in a 2.5 hour exam on one thing that you learn. It's more about being able to learn whatever you want to learn and take away what you want to take away, and being able to use it for something positive and having actual usage of it.
Shape was good because we got to learn a lot of things that we wouldn't usually learn in school. So the topic was headspace for the entire week, and that taught us a lot about well-being, how to survive in make spaces so that we can actually cope with our own stresses from whatever we're getting it from. And I chose to use the medium of film with quite a few others to be able to express ourselves, to be able to get a message across that we wanted to. And I think film for me was a really good choice because it's something that I'm quite passionate about, something I want to get into. So it provided us with that. With something like school, we wouldn't really get that. So we learned a lot.
Well, before it gets packed. Now I'll be sprinkling gold dust on the dance floor, challenging body movers to musical jewels, drawing out swords with horizontal steps. I know my shaki will protect me. We tell the OGs do your dance.
There were Africans in Britain before the English. So how far do we go back? Septimus Severus, they try to sever us. But these are not strictly straight Roman roads. This, the African circular, non-linear, traveling with Ubuntu in heart, journey towards Ma'at. Breathing, balancing, rematriation, reorientation, remembering, repping, repairing the road.